The Bermuda Triangle is an area of some 500,000 square miles that's believed to be the mysterious graveyard of many disappeared ships, planes, and people. The question, of course, is this area really of greater danger than other comparable areas around the world? Now, before I go any further, remember to subscribe to the channel because a lot of these mysteries are going to be solved in the next few weeks. You don't want to miss it. First thing to say about the legend of the Bermuda Triangle is this is comparatively recent. It's barely 60 years old. It first appears in a pulp fiction magazine called Argosy. February 1964, Vincent Gaddis first coined the phrase the Bermuda Triangle to describe this phenomenon. He cited the disappearance of a tanker called the Marine Sulphur, which disappeared in February 63 with a crew of 39 people. It was on its way to Norfolk, Virginia, but then vanished, and all that was ever found was a life jacket and some debris floating in the water off the Florida Straits. In August 1963, Gaddis went on to cite another disappearance, this time two KC-135 jets, 4-engine Stratotanker jets to be exact. They'd taken off with a crew of 11 just south of Miami on a very clear day and disappeared 300 miles west of Bermuda. Gaddis pointed out that despite the invention of planes and radio transmission and other modern transport technology, it was still possible for us to lose vessels and people with no rational explanation. Now, by far the most popular Bermuda Triangle story is the alleged disappearance of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers. They had left the Fort Lauderdale Naval Air Station on the 5th of December 1945 on a flight from which they would never return. Flight 19, as it came to be referred to, was practicing dropping torpedoes, and then having shed the load, they were then supposed to return to base. Now, before I reveal what happened to them, remember to subscribe. Flight 19 did radio in to say that it was in trouble. There were several aircraft involved and 14 young pilots, one experienced person in charge, but they all disappeared. Even more bizarrely, a seaplane that was sent to then find out what had happened also disappeared. Now, the thing about the Bermuda Triangle myth, as I've said, is that it's actually relatively recent, so there have been attempts to, as it were, backdate the story all the way back to Christopher Columbus and his first voyages into the Caribbean, where he, as it were, bumped into the New World. There is a story that while sailing through the Bermuda Triangle in October 1492, Columbus and his crew thought they saw the stars in the sky moving about in a strange manner. They then spoke of a strange light that ascended and then descended from the heavens, and also a kind of comet-like light that burst out of the ocean and shot above. Now, skeptics say that these kind of illusions are not unknown when you're at sea, but then on the other hand, people say that this is clear evidence of Columbus having seen a UFO. Alternatively, there may have been something in the biscuits that was affecting their brains. But as with other Bermuda Triangle accounts, it was said at the time that Columbus's compass acted very oddly. It wasn't behaving as it should do. Now, some have said that this was due to storm conditions, but the claim was that the compass was pointing to true north instead of magnetic north. Another mystery, on November 29th, 1925, the SS Cotopaxi was said to have disappeared while sailing from Charleston, South Carolina to Havana in Cuba. The ship ran into a tropical storm in the Bermuda Triangle and disappeared. You may recall that in the 1977 movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the rusting Cotopaxi turns up in the Gobi Desert, the inference being that aliens had dumped it there. However, just to disappoint you on that one, in 2020, a scientific expedition found the Cotopaxi off the coast of Florida. In 1974, the whole Bermuda Triangle story got a major boost when Charles Berlitz, if that name seems familiar, his family published the language books. Berlitz published a book on the Bermuda Triangle called The Bermuda Triangle. He not only popularized the legend, but also linked it to the myth of Atlantis. Now, it's long been argued by supporters of the Atlantis myth that the ruins of this long-lost civilization lie on the ocean bed in the Bermuda Triangle. And the Atlanteans had access to extraterrestrial technology, specifically crystal sources capable still of downing planes and ships. This theory extends to time portals and underwater alien bases, and even a theory that the US government has been collaborating with aliens on the seabed for many decades. Then there's the methane bubble theory in relation to the Bermuda Triangle, what I call the giant fart theory. Now, huge pockets of flammable methane gas are known to exist deep down in the ocean. The theory in relation to the Bermuda Triangle is that some kind of disturbance, like the kind of violent storms that happen in the area, as it were, release these methane bubbles. They come to the surface, they envelop a ship or plane and take it down. And then we have Bruce Gernon's electronic fog. Gernon says that he was in a small aircraft when he encountered this strange fog over the Bermuda Triangle that caused his plane to leap forward 100 miles in a matter of seconds. And it should be pointed out that the US Coast Guard and the American aviation authorities do not recognize the Bermuda Triangle. They don't tell people to avoid it. They don't tell aircraft or planes to avoid going through it. That said, I have to say that one of the worst flights in my life was from Mexico to London and England, going through the Bermuda Triangle, where the luggage literally flew out of the lockers. So who knows? There might be something to it. So is this just another conspiracy theory from the 1960s and 1970s that's enjoying a revival? Or is there something to it? Why don't you tell me in the comments below? Read the description as well, because there's more information and links to blog posts. And subscribe, please, for more of this content.